Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the BFA class review series. My name is Mr. Couchy, and I will lay out for you some of the changes affecting Elemental Shaman going into battle for Azeroth. Although we are close to the end of beta, some of this is still subject to change, so don't take everything said here as law. Elemental Shaman and Legion felt really good. For most of the expansion, I played my Shaman as Elemental, loving the overload chain lightnings and the amazing visuals associated with Elemental Blast. Shaman never really had any issues aside from survivability and locking of gear. Much like mages, they had 8 or 9 pieces of gear locked down by certain gear requirements that didn't allow for much diversity in the spec, which doesn't feel very good. How does BFA address some of these issues? Let's find out. Tremor Totem and Capacitor Totem have been made baseline for all Shaman specs. Tremor Totem summons an Earth Totem with 5 health at the foot of the caster that shakes the ground around it for 10 seconds, removing fear, charm, and sleep effects from party and raid members within 30 yards. Capacitor Totem, formerly known as Lightning Surge, summons a totem at the target location that gathers electrical energy from the surrounding air and explodes after 2 seconds, stunning all enemies within 8 yards for 3 seconds. Cooldown changed from 45 seconds to a minute. Elemental Focus and Flame Shock's extended cooldown and duration effect have been removed. Chain Lightning hurls a lightning bolt at the enemy, dealing a bunch of nature damage and then jumping to additional nearby targets, afflicting 3 total targets and generates only 3 Maelstrom per target hit. Earth Shock, you instantly shock the target with concussive force, causing nature damage. Earthquake had its cost changed from none to 75 Maelstrom. Fire Elemental calls forth Greater Fire Elemental to rain destruction on your enemies for 30 seconds. While the Greater Fire Elemental is active, Lightning Surge recharges faster, and Flame Shock generates 3 Maelstrom when it deals damage over time. The cooldown has been changed from 5 minutes to 2.5 minutes. This sounds like a really good change. If we could somehow drop that to a 2-minute CD, you'd have Maelstrom for days. Flame Shock sears the target with fire, causing fire damage up front and additionally over 18 seconds. Fulmination, damage from your lightning bolt generates 6 Maelstrom, Lava Burst spells generate 8 Maelstrom, and your Chain Lightning generates 3 Maelstrom. So far this sounds like a lot of Chain Lightning spamming to get used to use an Earthquake. Lava Burst will always critically strike the target as long as there is a Flame Shock present, which generates 8 Maelstrom. Lava Surge, your Flame Shock damage over time has a 15% chance to reset the remaining cooldown on Lava Burst and causes your next Lava Burst to be instant. Lightning Bolt had its Maelstrom generation changed from 8 to 6. And your Mastery, Elemental Overload, your Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning casts have a 15% chance to trigger a second cast on the target for 85% of normal damage and generates less Maelstrom. Your Mastery can also affect Elemental Blast, Lava Burst, and Ice Fury. There are a few changes here, namely in our Maelstrom generation. I don't know if Blizz thought we attacked too fast or something, but I definitely didn't think so. On to the talents to try to make sense of some of this. Ancestral Swiftness, Elemental Fusion, Gust of Wind, Lightning Rod, Path of Flame, and Voodoo Totem have all been removed. A makeshift blink, flat haste, and a massive single target damage buff to an AoE pack have been removed. All of those things were really good. Gust of Wind was a lifesaver and Lightning Rod was kind of fun. It let people focus their attention while also cleaving. Aftershock has been reworked a bit, where your spells have a 25% chance to refund the Maelstrom spent on them. Earth Shield has returned. A class-defining ability is back for all specs, to protect the target with an Earth and Shield, increasing the effectiveness of Shaman healing spells on the target by 20%, and causing attacks to heal the shielded target when they take damage. This heal can occur once every few seconds, and Earth Shield can only be placed on one target at a time. High Voltage, Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning can now cause a second Elemental Overload. Exposed Elements, your Earth Shock now increases the damage of your next Lightning Bolt on the target by 100%. Nature's Guardian, when your health is brought below 35%, you instantly heal for 25% of your max health. Cannot occur more than once every 45 seconds. If you take enough damage that would normally kill you that doesn't come from a crushing enemy or ability, this will act as a pseudo-cheat death. Spirit Wolf, while transformed into a Spirit Wolf, you gain 5% increased move speed and 5% damage reduction every second, stacking up to 4 times. Pretty much the only talent of choice for Shaman really. Any kind of damage mitigation is going to be required. Static Charge reduces the cooldown of Capacitor Totem by 5 seconds for each enemy hit, up to a maximum reduction of 20 seconds. Stormkeeper, you charge yourself with lightning, causing your next 2 lightning bolts or chain lightnings to be instant cast and trigger an elemental overload on every target. Name changed from static overload to Stormkeeper, cast time changed from instant to 1.5 seconds, and the cooldown changed from none to a minute. Unlimited power, when your spells cause an elemental overload, you gain 2% haste for 10 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. Gaining a stack does not refresh the duration. A couple of your other talents have been changed. Ancestral Guidance, for the next 10 seconds, 25% of your damage and healing is converted to healing on up to 3 injured nearby party or raid members. Master of the Elements, casting Lava Burst increases the damage of your next nature or frost spell by 20%. Ice Fury now generates 15 Maelstrom. Storm Elemental calls forth a greater Storm Elemental to hurl gusts of wind that damage the Shaman's enemies and generates Maelstrom for the Shaman for 30 seconds. While the Storm Elemental is active, each time you cast a Lightning Bolt or Chain Lightning, the cast time of Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning is reduced by 3%, stacking up to 20 times. This is going to promote Elemental Shamans yelling at the tank, "We gotta get to the next pack. We gotta go now. Fuck all y'all. You need mana? Long hair don't care, I'm pulling." Most of your other talents just had minor number or wording changes, so how does it play? Well, it's kind of similar to Legion. It plays a bit slower, feels kind of clunky with some of the tunings that have been going on. You don't really feel as strong as you did in Legion. As of this video, Ian Hezekosis has recently stated that Elemental Shaman needed a closer look at, but that won't come until patch 8.1. Until then, there isn't much to fear. It has the framework to be cool. Primal Elementalist, Unlimited Power, Spirit Wolf DR are all positive changes for the spec, and I'm quite optimistic for the future. How did you think Elemental felt in Legion, and how do you think it will perform in BFA? Tell me what you think in the comments below. Thanks for sticking around, like and subscribe, and in case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.